Welcome to week 4 of the Elestriad with an incredibly highly anticipated match. MBT at 2-1, taking on ShadyPenguinn and the Fire Pantheon at 3-0. One of the final Elestriad casters left undefeated at this point. This is gonna be a doozy. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And let me know who you got in this one, MBT or ShadyPenguinn. Let me know in the comments section below. And don't forget to check out shop.elestrals.com to pick up some sweet starter decks and more. You know you want to do it, but let's find out how this one's going to shake down. MBT is bringing wind, is bringing some thunder, has those Sparkets, has that Zeus. ShadyPenguinn is going for more of a direct damage burn type strategy with his Eruptions, some regeneration with Cryzor, and Exaltair to burn. This could be a real close one if Shady's able to get those Eruptions off. Let's find out how this one's gonna go. All right, it looks as though MBT is gonna kick off this clash and go first with Nectar of the Gods. That's gonna give him an opportunity to draw 2 cards and add to his hand. A really good turn 1 play, about one of the best cards you can get on your first turn, as it kind of just gets you the advantage that you need, and you have plenty of spirits to play with, so you're not really missing out too much. We talked a lot about how the mid to late game Nogs can sometimes feel a little less impactful, but here seems like a good thing. So MBT digging into his spirit deck, thinking about what he wants to do here after that early draw. Looks like he's going to expend his spirit to draw an additional card. So he's padding that hand and saying, you know what, I'm going to leave this field open. You can do whatever you want, Mr. Penguin. I'm going to give myself an opportunity to stack up my strategy for later. That can oftentimes be useful with things like Hydrake if you want to go on the more offensive and just kind of crash it. He did set a card face down though, and Shady's going to respond with a Nectar of the Gods of his own, drawing 2 cards and adding to his hand as well. Of course, by going second, Shady does have an extra card at his disposal at this point in the clash, but MBT almost certainly going to have some answers for whatever Penguin brings to the field here with that face down rune. Shady's thinking about it. He's got those sleek volcanic forged sleeves. You gotta love those. Debating on what his next play is going to be. Again, utilizing this deck that Shady's using, you really want to save your burn cards for the end. You want to force your opponent to use their resources early and then kind of hit him with a surprise attack at the end. I think that that's going to be key to Shady's strategy. He's got the Island of Aeolia here, which is going to be an interesting card to watch in this clash because we know MBT is utilizing a lot of Wind Elestrals. This is why I was surprised in the deck builder that Shady didn't decide to go full fire, because Kinlea was such a good answer to Hydrake and Twindra and Pantera, and he also had the Necrofs, which are another good answer. By using Island of Aeolia here, he, in some ways, unknowingly is helping MBT in a way as well, right? Because you're getting that buff for your Aramir, you're going to hit directly, but MBT's got the entire Hydrake line, the Pegas, the Sorlits, the Voltempest. I mean, he's got this full-on build, so it's going to make it a little tough to really get the full usefulness out of that Island of Aeolia. Again, it's a card to watch in this clash, as it may end up helping MBT more than helping Shady, so it's going to be one that's interesting. MBT does decide to let go of an Earth Spirit there. Here comes the Hydrake, and this is kind of one of those situations. Island's not going to matter here, but it is going to get Hydrake out to the field, and Hydrake is going to be able to crash into Aramir, and with no backfield, Shady is very susceptible to Twindra hitting out here, and that looks to be what's going to happen. Hydrake crashing into Aramir. Aramir goes down, and now MBT gets to search for Twindra. And of course, because Twindra's special cast in the same battle phase and it has not attacked this turn, the Twindra does get to attack, and it's going to be able to attack directly for 2 spirits. So Shady already on the back foot and now needs a way to deal with that Twindra. And this is where those removal cards come in handy, right? You're resting on your laurels. This is where your, Earthquakes come in handy. In this case, Shady does have 2 resting on your laurels in his deck. It's going to be interesting to see if he actually has them in his hand here. Looks like he's going to roll a die. I think that's for his deck cut. But he's going to draw a card here. Let's see. Yeah, that was for the deck cut. And he's debating his plays here. Twindra menacing on the field. It's staring him down. Let's take a listen in.
Wind Spirit.
Yep.
To cast Exaltair. He's good.
That's fine.
All right. I'll activate his effect and Nexus 1 from Island over to him, killing Island and dealing 2 damage.
Do 2 here?
Yeah.
Sure. That's fine.
And then I will end my turn. My sad, sad turn.
So Shady does opt to go for the Exaltair play there to get a Nexus off and deal for 2 burn damage, clearing his Island of Aeolia off the field and removing it as a factor. So it does pay dividends in that case, but the problem here is that it doesn't really gain him any board state, right? He's able to burn for 2, but now he's basically losing both of those spirits as the Exaltair just gets chunked, and then Twindra gets to attack for 2, and this is putting Shady on a very, very bad back foot, right? He's already back against the wall. That is a misenchanted Sorlet as well, which I think makes sense, right? I think he's probably saving some of those wind spirits for the late game, as both these casters are down to about the midway point of their spirit decks. Shady's got some opportunities to come back here though, right? But he's gonna need to be able to contend with this offensive threat, and this is a good card to get him started. Astrabbit, 5 defense, gets him an opportunity to look at the top of his deck and maybe start to fish out some of those counter runes. I think something like a Shield of Achilles could be really big for him right now. He's only running 1, but having an opportunity to bounce that Twindra could be big. Another play could be a Tsunami. He's got 3 in the deck. Tsunami might be what he's aiming for, because that could keep him in the game for another turn, put that Twindra and Sorlet into defense, maybe cause MBT to use a Spirit with his Sorlet changing position, and then you have an opportunity to kind of start climbing back in and fishing for 2 of your Eruptions. He's got 2 of them. He's looking for both of them, because if you can hit big damage at the end of the game, you might just be able to win, but an Earthquake might foil that plan. MBT running a lot of Earth Spirits, has exactly what he needs here. Very smartly played. He got rid of a lot of Earth Spirits earlier during those expends, but he's got enough to get this Earthquake off and clear that threat. It ends up being a really safe play, because now you don't have to worry as much about that back row, and you're preventing Shady from gaining any sort of field presence or momentum. Here comes Aeolus. P-Gus could hit the field if you're MBT right now, and that could start blowing up some runes and make this really difficult. Let's see what he's going to go for here. I think the P-Gus makes a lot of sense. It's going to be interesting, though. I think looking at his deck list, that's probably what I would grab as the P-Gus, but he's going to throw the 2 spirits down. It does look like we're going to see that disenchant. What is he going to grab? I guess you can grab another Hydrake, but with only 1 Tyrandra, it seems unnecessary. He is going to grab the P-Gus, so really smart use of Aeolus there. That's what makes Aeolus Toolbox so versatile in this metagame right now. You have the opportunity to search out all of these different cards that may help you or may get you to where you need to be. And then he's got this Ambrosia. He's going to throw away a Thunder Spirit, and he's going to look for some more of his spirits. It looks like he grabbed some Earth Spirits there that might cue into the fact that he might have another Earthquake in hand. He does grab 1 Wind Spirit at the very least to activate this P-Gus, and he's going to cast this into attack position, and that's going to force pressure onto one of those face-down runes. Which one is he going to pop? Let's find out. He pops the Eruption. Shady with the face-down bait Eruption. That's devastating, as he needed that Eruption to sneakily hit a final blow onto MBT later, and he only has 1 Eruption left in his deck. That could prove to be monumental. Facing up against a Wind deck, you really can't afford to bluff things face down, because P-Gus is always looming. It's one of the things that makes Wind so strong. If you can get that P-Gus onto the field and protect it, and even pair it with Nexus like Exaltair, my goodness, that becomes so oppressive for the opponent to deal with. And losing your Eruption there is big, as now Shady only has 6 spirits left. He's desperately looking for that Tsunami. He needs a Tsunami to get back in this one. But even with the P-Gus, that's going to make it tough. Mistation gives him a chance here. This is a Wind Enchanted Mistation. I love this play. This shows me that Shady's really starting to understand the game, but he's met with an Earthquake. Let me just explain that play for a second. Mistation with Wind Enchant has no effect, but it still has 6 defense. That allows it to hold up to Twindra and Sorlet's offensive onslaught. But by being Wind Enchanted, it means that Sorlet can actually not target the Mistation and change his position. It was misenchanted, but nonetheless, because Mistation had a Wind Spirit on it, it wasn't going to be impacted by the Sorlet. Shady has a Gorgon's Gaze face down, but it might just be a little too late. He's going to be able to stop one of the attacks. He was going to, you know, these Earthquakes are so perfectly timed from MBT, and it's putting ShadyPenguinn on the back foot here. My goodness, let's listen in for the last bit.
And, ooh, wait. Here he is, after 10,000 years. Full Tempest. I can't even cast him. I don't have any Wind Spirits left.
Nice, W. Awesome.
I'm just kidding.
GG, man. GG.
Ooh, what happened? Did you brick?
I just bricked, yeah. That's all it was. Didn't draw anything at all. But that happens in card games, and it's the first week that it's happened, so I can't really be too mad. That's 75% good drawing.
Yeah, big brick city there for Mr. Penguin. He had a couple of the higher cast Elestrals, some Cryzors and things like that, which may have led to him bricking. Not finding those Tsunamis was pretty big, and not being able to utilize that Eruption was also pretty big. I come back and look at this one from that perspective, right? Just kind of having a bad hand and not really being able to play off that too strong. But I also think that there was some credence, and again, I hate to harp on it, but I think that there was some viability to entertaining the earth aspect, or the fire aspect this week, just because I do feel like it matched up really well against what MBT's been bringing. But nonetheless, Tough week for Shady, but don't count him out here. He's still thinning at 3-1 at the very top of the standings of the Elestriad and has proven himself to be a viable caster. MBT takes the win there on the back of a dominant performance of his wind Elestrals. Twinger got out to the field very early, put on a ton of pressure. Shady just didn't have the back row to deal with it, and MBT was able to steamroll from there. Those earthquakes proved to be so clutch for MBT, having him in just the right time and using his spirits very effectively to make them execute at the time he needed, when he needed them. Great games all around. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment. Don't forget we got more Elestriad videos this week, so stay tuned for those, and we'll see you guys soon.